let's talk about the Denver Broncos and one of the latest mock drafts that are conducted there. Obviously, their first round pick, Russell Wilson, quarterback from the Seattle Seahawks, is coming to the Mile High City here in 2022 here. But in round two, they have a capital, the back end, pick number 64 that they acquired in the trade from sending Von Miller to the Los Angeles Rams here. They took Arnold Ebiketie, edge rusher out of Penn State. Now, this was kind of some background here on the selections that I made here, Ian, and I know that you commented that you loved this draft here for the Broncos. I went with all RAS guys because I know that George Payton, his philosophy, finding guys who are really good leaders on and off the football field, but also on the field, athletic as all can be. So this is the all RAS draft here for the Denver Broncos. What are your thoughts here on Ebiketie at pick number 64 here?
Yeah, well, if you saw my my latest big board update, and I know it just came out, but I have him pretty high. I won't spoil it. I'll let you guys go see for yourself. But he is very high on my board, so I obviously love this pick. I think he's a little bit older as a prospect, so that might bump him down a little bit. He's around 6'2", 251, somewhere around there. But I do think you look at the 34-inch arms. That's the thing for me. If he's 6'2", 251 and has 32-inch arms, then we're looking at a guy who's maybe a little too small. But you can see he is very long-armed for his frame, and that shows up on tape where, he's got that natural leverage being 6'2", but he can also get a lever on guys. He can exert power, and he's twitchy, explosive. I mean, you talk about going with RAS guys. I mean, that's the best way to do it because they have that athletic upside that you can build off of. Not everyone can say that. I think Arnold Ebiketie showed that on tape, was one of the most consistent pressure generators in college football last year, and then came to the Senior Bowl and really played well there too. Really showed his stuff against some high-quality tackles. So I think Ebiketie is explosive, twitchy. He's got ankle flexion. He's got power. And at the same time, he can use his hands to win around the apex. So I'm a big fan of this move. I think opposite Randy Gregory, you're looking at a potentially dynamic duo of pass rushers there.
As you guys know, my background for the most part here, what I do with the company is I do fantasy football. I just want to go out here and say, Cody, fantasy football managers absolutely hate you with this pick. In round 3, pick 75, you've got the Broncos getting probably BPA at this point, and that is landing Breece Hall, the running back out of Iowa State. He is the #1 running back on the board. I wouldn't be surprised if it's him or Kenneth Walker that does go first, but this is a guy that did absolutely everything at Iowa State. For like the last 3 years, he's been considered the best back of this class, and then goes back in the combine and just absolutely dominated. Had the best-in-class vert and broad jump, runs a 4.39. Honestly, Ian, talk me off a cliff at this point. How good do you think this could be, or should fantasy managers at this point okay, can we just let Javonte Williams be Javonte Williams? But honestly, look, you can't get enough depth of running back position in the NFL.
I can't give hope to fantasy managers in this case because you've got two very good, very young running backs in the same backfield. So I'm sorry. Yeah. It's looking like a split decision here. But again, if you're the Broncos, I love having this two-headed tandem for you. I mean, I think Javonte Williams, Breece Hall has the size, but I think he's more of a finesse back than force, and that's a good thing. He's got great vision, great short area agility, and when he hits that hole, he can explode, and he's got the long speed to stretch those spaces. Whereas with Javonte Williams, I mean, we all know the deal with this guy, right?
He's a wrecking ball.
Elite contact balance. He's a bowling ball out there, just wrecking guys and stepping over them, So, but he's got some, underrated agility too. I think you got a thunder and lightning combo with two guys who are a little bit more than that for each of them. I think Williams has some underrated receiving ability out of the backfield. Yeah. I think Hall is very natural there too. So you look at these two guys. I would love to use maybe some 21 personnel, get both of them on the field if you can, just be versatile with these guys. And I really like the skill sets. Mm-hmm. Again, with Javonte Williams, I'd maybe get a guy like Rashad White or Tyler Beatty a little bit later on, get a pure receiving, complement. But at this point, if you're going BPA, I mean, BPA is Breece Hall at this point. If it's early round 3, that's who you're going to get right there.
Well, the Broncos have another pick in round 3 at pick number 96, and I went back-to-back Hall picks here. Logan Hall, defensive tackle out of Houston, and one of the reasons I selected him here, Ian, is because the Broncos, look, in free agency, they did sign DJ Jones to a deal, which will be a huge part of that interior, but for a guy like Logan Hall, he can be the replacement that Shelby Harris was on the defensive line because he could play anywhere. He could play a 5-tech, he could play a 4-eye, he could play as a 3-tech. He could do a lot of different things there and be there for us. So when you combine him on a defensive line with DJ Jones, Draymond Jones as well, and a pass rush potentially of Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, or Randy Gregory, and Ebiketie, that right there is just a dynamic defense for a Broncos team that's looking to play a lot more nickel and dime in 2022.
Yeah, your thoughts are basically mine exactly. I mean, Logan Hall, I love him in 3-tech especially. I think that's where his physical profile fits best. I think that straight line power, that violence in his hands. He reminds me a lot of William Golston with his frame and his style. but I do think he can move around. I mean, we saw, especially at Houston, they were very versatile with how they used their defensive linemen. And there were times when you'd see Hall shading out to 5-tech, like you said, and he's got that build-up speed where he can get around the edge a little bit, and he can capitalize with his hands, with that violent hand usage. So I'm a big fan of the style here, the versatility that he provides you. Ideally, you're looking at fronts with Draymond Jones and Logan Hall at 3-tech, and then you got DJ in the middle. But again, you can mix it up. That's the thing I love about Logan Hall, is that you can't really pigeonhole him into one specific spot because he can do so many things. I like him best at 3-tech, but the flexibility, the freedom to, you know, operate your defense as you see fit and not be constrained to any one look, that's a valuable thing. And I think Logan Hall gives you that.
And sitting here looking at the rest of the draft, clearly this was the all-athletic team here in rounds 4 through 7. And round 4, pick 115, it is Jelani Woods, the tight end out of Virginia, who literally reset the standard for the RAS at the position. And then back in round 4, adding some more depth to the linebacker with Troy Anderson out of Montana State. And round 5, Matt Ariza. Remember, punters are people too. Coming out of San Diego State. And round 6, Chase Lucas, cornerback out of Arizona State. And then around 7, why not give Russell Wilson a few more weapons, in this case with Bo Melton out of Rutgers. Honestly, most athletic guy on here, Matt Ariza. I'm not going to hear for any slander. I cannot wait. If this did come to fruition, I would love to see Matt Ariza kicking in altitude in Denver. That would be an absolute spectacle to see him bombing 80-plus balls. He was doing at sea level. Imagine what he's doing in mile high. That would be an incredible sight.
Well, Broncos country, what do you think of this mock draft that was put together at ProFootballNetwork.com? Drop your comments down below here, youtube.com/ProFootballNetwork.